There are 5 decisions inside the Social Security system that cannot be undone. Not corrected later, not appealed, not reversed once the deadline passes, permanent. And right now, millions of Americans are either in the middle of making one of these mistakes or have already made one without ever knowing it happened. Today I'm going to name all 5, explain exactly what makes each one irreversible, and tell you what to check before it's too late. The last one is the mistake I see most often, and it's the one almost nobody sees coming. Mistake number 1 is claiming Social Security retirement benefits before your full retirement age without understanding what that reduction actually means in dollar terms for the rest of your life. Here is the number the SSA gives you when you call to file early. They tell you your benefit will be reduced. They ask if you understand. You say yes. The application gets processed, and that reduced amount becomes your check permanently. What they do not tell you is the math. If your full retirement age is 67 and you claim at 62, your benefit is cut by 30%. On a monthly benefit of $2,000, that is $600 less every single month. Not for a few years, not until you reach 67. Forever. Over a 20-year retirement, that one decision costs you $144,000 in cumulative income compared to simply waiting. If your full retirement age is 66 and 6 months and you claimed at 62, your benefit was reduced by approximately 25.8%. On that same $2,000 benefit, that's $516 less every month for the rest of your life. The SSA processes the application. They do not run this math for you before you sign. On $2,000 per month benefit, up to $144,000 in lifetime losses from claiming at 62. Mistake number 2 is not knowing that you have exactly 12 months to undo an early claiming decision and letting that window expire without acting. There is a form called SSA 521, the request for withdrawal of application. If you filed for Social Security retirement benefits and regret that decision, this form lets you cancel it entirely. Your record resets. Your future benefit is recalculated as if you never filed. You can refile at a higher age and collect a permanently larger check for the rest of your life. But the window is exactly 12 months from your very first payment. Not 12 months from when you changed your mind, 12 months from the first check. The catch is real. You have to repay every dollar you received, including any Medicare premiums deducted from your benefits. If you have the funds, the math almost always works in your favor. Someone who claimed at 62, withdrew at the 11-month mark, waited until 70 to refile, and had a full benefit of $2,560 could end up with $3,379 per month instead of $1,920. That is $1,459 more every single month for the rest of their life. The mistake isn't filing Form SSA-521. The mistake is not knowing it exists until month 13. $1,459 per month permanent increase possible, but only within 12 months of first payment. Mistake number 3 affects widows and widowers specifically, and it is one of the most expensive permanent mistakes in the entire system. If your spouse died and you are receiving Social Security, you may be collecting the wrong benefit right now. As a widow or widower, you are generally entitled to either your own retirement benefit or your late spouse's survivor benefit, whichever is higher. The survivor benefit can be up to 100% of what your deceased spouse was receiving. In many cases, that number is substantially larger than what the surviving spouse collects on their own record. Here is where the permanent mistake happens. If you claimed your own retirement benefit early and then switched to survivor benefits, or claimed survivor benefits early before your own benefit was maximized, one of those amounts may have been permanently reduced. Early claiming of survivor benefits before age 60 carries reductions, and once you've locked in one benefit and passed certain age thresholds, the ability to switch strategies narrows significantly. The mistake is making either decision without first asking SSA to pull both numbers and show you the comparison. That conversation is free. The error it prevents is not. Call SSA at 1-800-77-21213 and specifically ask them to calculate both your own retirement benefit and your survivor benefit and tell you which is higher. Then ask what happens to each if you delay. Do not skip that conversation. Survivor benefit can be up to 100% of deceased spouse's check. Many collect less without knowing. Mistake number 4 happens to people who are collecting Social Security before their full retirement age while still working. And the reason it makes this list is not because the money is gone. It's because most people have no idea it's being withheld in the first place. Here is the rule. In 2026, if you are collecting Social Security before your full retirement age and you earn more than $23,400 in a year, the SSA withholds $1 for every $2 you earn above that limit. Your check simply gets smaller, or in some months, stops entirely, without any clear explanation attached to it. The money is not gone permanently. Once you reach full retirement age, the withheld amounts are credited back to your record, and your benefit is recalculated slightly upward. That part is not a permanent mistake. The permanent mistake is the panic that happens when the check drops and people make a second decision on top of it, suspending benefits incorrectly, filing additional paperwork that triggers unintended consequences, or calling SSA and agreeing to changes they don't fully understand because they're alarmed by the missing income. If you are working and collecting before full retirement age, track your earnings. Know the $23,400 threshold. Understand that a reduced or withheld check in those months is not an error. It is the earnings test working exactly as designed. You just need to know it's happening. $1 withheld for every $2 earned above $23,400. Most people think their check is simply wrong. Mistake number 5 is the one I see most often. It is quieter than the others. There is no penalty notice, no reduced check that shows up differently on your statement. Nothing that looks like a mistake at all. And that is exactly why so many people make it and never find out. Your Social Security benefit is calculated using your lifetime earnings record. Every year you worked, your employer submitted payroll data to the SSA. That data was entered, recorded, and stored. And every year, there was an opportunity for something to go wrong. A wrong number submitted by an employer. A year that got missed entirely. A period of self-employment that was never properly reported, a job that closed and whose records were never transferred. Each error reduces your monthly benefit when you eventually claim by approximately $100 per affected year. That doesn't sound like much, but here's what it actually means. If your earnings record has 3 incorrect years, your base benefit may be $300 a month lower than it should be. Over 20 years of retirement, that is $72,000 that should have been yours. If you also delayed claiming to get the 24% delayed retirement credit on top of that lower base, the compounding effect makes the gap even larger. The fix exists. You can log into your My Social Security account at ssa.gov right now, open your Social Security statement, and look at the earnings listed for every year you worked. Compare those numbers against your own records, W-2 forms, old tax returns, pay stubs. If something doesn't match, you file a request for correction of earnings record with supporting documentation. The SSA corrects it. Your benefit gets recalculated. Here's the part that makes this the most important mistake on this list. Every other mistake I covered today has a deadline you have to beat. A claiming age, a 12-month window, an enrollment period. This one has a different kind of deadline. The older your records get, the harder the documentation is to find. W-2s from 1989 are not easy to locate. Your old employer may no longer exist. The IRS only keeps certain records for a limited number of years. The window to correct your earnings record is technically open as long as you haven't claimed. But the window to find the documentation that supports the correction gets smaller every single year. The people who check their record at 45 or 50 still have their paperwork. The people who check at 64, 2 months before they file, often find a discrepancy and have nothing left to prove it with. Check your record today. ssa.gov, My Social Security, earnings history. Do it now, while the documentation is still findable and while the correction is still free. 3 incorrect years equals approximately $300 per month. Less equals $72,000 lost over 20 years. And most people never check. Here is the full list. Mistake 1. Claiming early without running the real dollar math on what that permanent reduction means over 20 or 30 years. Mistake 2. Not knowing about Form SSA-521, the 12-month window to undo an early claiming decision and letting it expire. Mistake 3. Taking survivor benefits without first asking SSA to compare both your own retirement benefit and your survivor benefit side by side. Mistake 4. Not understanding the earnings test and making a panicked secondary decision when your check drops. And mistake 5, the one I see most often, never checking your earnings record for errors while the documentation to fix them is still within reach. The SSA will not flag any of these for you. They process your application, send your check, and move on. Every one of these mistakes requires you to know it exists and to take one specific action before the window closes. Go to ssa.gov, open your My Social Security account, look at your earnings record, do it today, subscribe, Share this with someone you know who is on or approaching Social Security, and I will see you in the next one.